Hello everyone, welcome back to another UK film review video review. My name's James Learoyd and today I will be talking about a new feature-length docudrama called The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg. This is a brand new film based, I believe, at least in part on true events. But it is a completely a dramatization. There's no talking heads or anything. It is, while you're watching it, it feels like a work of constructed drama, and it's very interesting, but really very dark. So content warning. If you don't react well to discussion of very serious and upsetting traumatic things, don't keep watching. So effectively what the film is centered around is this court case about a type of acne drug, an acne medication, and the film starts really, really upsettingly. Again, I'm serious about the content warning stuff. But it starts with a mother and a son, and the son has got bad acne, and he's going to school, he's a teenager, and then the son is at home, and then when the mother comes back, and the mother tries to get him to take this medication, but when the mother returns, tragically, the son has killed himself, and he is he's hanged himself in the bathroom, and it is really, really horrific, and it is a really just upsetting and sort of uncompromising way to begin a movie, and I'm not entirely sure what I think of it. However, it grabs your attention, but I actually don't think it works that well with the rest of the film. I personally think, just to get right into it, I personally think the film would be a more consistent piece without such an uncomfortable and unpleasant thing at the beginning. Despite the fact that this film is about that thing, it's about this acne medication that was having such a negative impact on the minds of teenagers, cutting off the frontal lobe, chemically speaking, and so causing them to go into depression. That's what the film's about, yes. And I certainly admire I always admire the audacity of a film to put something so upfront and upsetting in their work. However, I personally just didn't react that well to it. But the rest of the film I really enjoyed a lot, and I think is a really well-written piece, pretty well-structured piece, and technically speaking, a visually and audibly a really effective and impressive piece of work. So what then happens is that the mother wants answers. She wants to know why this horrific thing has happened. And she goes to a psychiatrist who's the protagonist of this story, and asks him to investigate and do research into this drug and the effects on the mind. He requires financing to do a research project, so various parents of children affected donate and sort of start a research project / campaign, against that drug company. And it's really interesting as the film goes on to see how that process evolves, how much sort of objectivity the psychiatrist character wants to take in it, not sort of he doesn't want to give himself up to the scrutiny of legal proceedings and litigation and policies of the university campus and things. But it ends up coming to all of those things, and a good portion of this film is a courtroom drama. But I think it's a really a pretty strong courtroom drama with a lot of fiery performances and some strong dialogue, some convincing dialogue as well, some properly well researched dialogue that certainly gets you thinking. The cinematography overall is impressive. Lots of cool dolly shots. Very consistent in terms of the lighting. As I say, the sound is pretty perfect. My big issues on the technical department are that there's the occasional drone shot, which doesn't fit and sort of drags the film down. And there's the occasional use of music that feels very out of place and also very generic. If they are going to use music in the film, even if it is, whatever kind of music they want, it has to fit the scene. And it has to be apt for whatever scenario, we're witnessing. But here, it doesn't feel like that, personally. Again, the individual pieces of music, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just the way in which they're implemented. Not to suggest that this isn't a really well-directed movie. This is a well-directed movie, which for the most part has a good awareness of, balance of tones, but sometimes they do get the tone wrong. The performances are intriguing. Our main guy, to me, seems a lot like Robert Picardo, the actor in Star Trek Voyager and Gremlins 2: A New Batch. He seems so like Robert Picardo to me, with the eyebrows and the voice and everything like that. And I love Robert Picardo, so he felt like a very comforting presence as a protagonist. And I also actually really like that it's actually his perspective the film is being told from. You would think it would be a better movie if it was told from the mother's perspective, looking for revenge. And I suppose it would in a film that begins with that horrific suicide scene. That does more seem like it fits with the story of the mother being the protagonist. But I personally prefer the film that is about the sort of legal proceedings and someone who doesn't know whether to stick their sort of head on the line for good. And so, it reminded me of a lot of two of my favourite movies of all time, and that's Michael Mann's The Insider and Todd Haynes' Dark Waters. Both of those movies. This film, The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg, has taken tons from those two movies. Not in a bad way, in my opinion, in a really good way, in a way that sort of excites me and reminds me of those movies, but without wishing that I was watching those movies. I'm sort of interested to see the director's inspirations and sort of, these little aesthetic influences you can see at play through different scenes, and it's all very cool. Personally, I don't know how accurate the portrayal is. I don't know how true story is. But either way, it makes for an interesting piece of drama. And even, either way, we know of tons of the most, corrupt companies, organizations, and drug companies who benefit from, really unpleasant things, and so it feels grounded, and unfortunately it feels just very normal for this to be a thing. I think it's set around the mid-2000s, early to mid-2000s. Overall, I've been talking for a while. It gives you a lot to think about, certainly, and I can't complain. When it comes to that, it has its good, has its bad, but that's my review of The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg.